Well, hello everyone. This is Tim Bost with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com, wanting to share some information with you today on Clint Eastwood's chair and what it means for the coming explosion that we are about to see happening around us. You know, we had an unusual feature at the Republican National Convention recently when there was an empty chair on stage. The actor Clint Eastwood was interrogating the chair as if an invisible President Obama were seated there, and apparently only he was able to hear Obama's comments and see the president in that very strange encounter. It had got lots of comments after the fact, both pro and con, but it was certainly a memorable experience. You know, we can find out a little bit more about what actually went on if we take a look at Clint Eastwood's individual horoscope. Clint Eastwood, born May 31st in 1930, has the planet Mercury in retrograde motion in his natal chart. This gives him a very unusual communications style. It makes him very, very effective in many regards, but in many cases he will communicate more by what he does not say than what words he actually uses. So this makes it very appropriate in an interesting kind of way that he would be interrogating an empty chair on the stage of the Republican National Convention. But that's not all that's going on in Clint Eastwood's horoscope, however. We also find the Sun, which is the ruler of the 10th house in his chart, in a conjunction with the trans-Neptunian factor Volcanus, making him an extraordinarily dynamic businessman and business manager. He's not only an actor and film director, he has his own production company, and for many years now has personally profited from the production of his films. So we might want to look at what Clint Eastwood is involved in business-wise and perhaps ride on his coattails in order to look for profitable opportunities in the markets right now. You know, even though Clint Eastwood produces his own films, he relies on other companies to distribute those films, primarily Warner Brothers, and so we might want to take a look at Time Warner, for example, as something that could give us an opportunity based on Clint Eastwood's conversation with the empty chair. And in fact, on the day after Clint Eastwood's appearance, we note that Time Warner's stock went up by 7 cents a share during that next trading session. So perhaps this does indeed give us a signal of something we might want to take a look at. But actually, the real star of that segment was the empty chair. So let's take a look at HNI Corporation, which is a major manufacturer of office furniture in the U.S., and we note that their stock did even better than Time Warner's. The shares of HNI went up 11 cents a share on the day after Clint Eastwood's conversation with the empty chair. Shows you who the real star of that episode was, I guess. But even if we don't want to try to invest in film distribution or in office furniture as a result of Clint Eastwood's appearance, we want to be concerned with the other factors that are going on in his natal horoscope. What is noteworthy here is that Clint Eastwood has key planets at a specific location in the zodiac, and these planets are getting a lot of special stress right now. He has Venus at 8 degrees of Cancer and a tight conjunction of Hades and Admetos at 9 degrees of Aries in his natal chart. Now, this is especially significant because right now we have a transiting Uranus-Pluto waxing square series underway, with Uranus at about 6-7 degrees currently of Aries, and Pluto just 90 degrees away at just shy of 7 degrees in the sign of Capricorn. These line up with these specific planets in Clint Eastwood's chart, and what happens is it creates a very specific angular relationship that we refer to in astrology as a T-square pattern. with the T-square pattern, what we have going on is a high degree of stress. What we're seeing in specific with this Uranus-Pluto waxing square and the patterns that it creates as times of increased confrontation, increased polarization, and increased negativity, especially in the case of Clint Eastwood's chart, when we see the very negative Hades-Admetos combination being accented by this waxing square between Uranus and Pluto, and in the creation of the T-square pattern. Now, this Uranus-Pluto waxing square is very important. It's something we need to give a lot of attention to. It's making a big impact on every person on the entire planet in one way or another. It adds a great deal to the atmosphere of polarization and hostility that we're experiencing internationally and often on an interpersonal basis as well. It's a factor that is creating major changes in social and economic structures, changes that can't be ignored. Now, the important thing to understand is this is a series of lineups of waxing squares between Uranus and Pluto that began in the spring of 2012, but it lasts all the way through the spring of 2015. So even though this is a powerful change, it's not going to happen rapidly. It's something we have to work with and live with for several years in the process. Now, the Uranus-Pluto waxing square is having a strong impact on the entire planet, but it has a special impact on certain key individuals as well. So we need to keep an eye on them. It's having a strong impact on Clint Eastwood, as we've already noted. That adds a lot to our understanding of the strange events that took place at the Republican National Convention. It's also having a big impact on Barack Obama and on Mitt Romney and on Joe Biden, and on the personal horoscope for Paul Ryan as well. In addition to that, it impacts the Federal Reserve and the stock market as a whole, and a whole lot more. Now, this is a very, very important planetary changing dynamic that's going on with the Uranus-Pluto waxing square, so it pays you to keep informed. We have the monograph, the Uranus-Pluto waxing square, available that gives you a lot of background on this. But wherever you get your information, make sure that you get the facts. Check it out now at bit.ly/Uranus-Pluto. That's capital U, capital P. bit.ly/Uranus-Pluto. Take a look for yourself. This is Tim Bost with FinancialCyclesWeekly.com. Thanks so much for joining me.